Welcome to growthtofreedom.com, the show that brings you inspiration, transformation, and leadership. We're helping you connect the dots, see the blind spots, and get unstuck so you can go out there and create more sales, more growth, more profits. More importantly, so you can have a bigger impact, have a bigger reach, and make a bigger contribution. And if that's what you want, you are going to love today's guest expert, right? Have you ever found yourself at a place where, maybe in your consulting practice or your coaching business, or maybe you've got a software business, or you have clients who might pay in installments or monthly? Well, I think you're going to love what we're going to talk about today. If you've ever struggled with retention, if you've ever struggled with accountability, if you've ever struggled with engagement, not only does it hold true if you're a coach and being able to have greater results, greater impact, greater success, but I would imagine a lot of the principles work really well too if you have a team, right? So I encourage you, grab a pen, grab a piece of paper, jot down some notes, because we've got some fascinating things to talk about. And our theme today is what's called Firebuilders, right? And that's going to become more evident as we go along. Our guest expert today, with a BA in Spanish and a master's degree in mechanical engineering, Josh Koerpel is the co-founder and CEO of Firebuilders.io. He's previously, get this, he's a ship captain and Alaskan wilderness guide turned SaaS founder, working business to business, business to consumers. Josh worked for years as a special projects mechanical engineer, designer for clients like Disney. Like when you go up on those big coasters and come flying down at about 80 miles an hour, well, guess what? You have him to thank that you didn't go literally off the rails, right? Cirque du Soleil, right? You've probably heard it, seen it. If you haven't, go Google it. And Metallica, and only to begin building his own software solution and transitioning to SaaS products full-time from the road. He's been riding across the country on a vintage BM motorcycle, and today we get to spend some time together. Josh, how are you, brother?
I am great, man. Dan, so good to be here. Thank you so much for that great introduction, too. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's dive into it, Josh. You have this concept theme called Firebuilders about creating more retention, about creating more engagement, and also being able to create more accountability, right? So before we get into like the strategy side of it, you have quite a diverse background. Oh, we should also mention we have Kevin Thompson and Jules Hale to thank for us being able to get connected, right? Kevin and Jules run an incredible community called Tribe for Leaders. We'll post some links down below. Kevin's been a guest on our show multiple times. You just reminded me, Josh, I've got to get Jules on here to do an interview too. So Jules, it's coming. It's coming. We're going to get you on here too. But
Jules is awesome. Yeah, Jules
is awesome. For Jules and Kevin as well. You can also check out an episode we did recently with them collaboratively at growthtofreedom.com/304. That's growthtofreedom.com/304. So Josh, you Alaskan wilderness guide, you ship captain, Disney, Cirque du Soleil, Metallica, engineering, SaaS. So I'm curious, why are you doing what you're doing today?
Man, where do I even begin? So yeah, it has been
it's like a Bugs Bunny left there. I don't know, somewhere in there.
So you'd be surprised at how much overlap there is when you create a software product. The things about testing it, creating it in chunks, all of these ideas that went into the creation of some of these products, I actually learned from very unconventional places, like the sailing stuff, all the traveling, the engineering, hands down. And actually that's why Kevin and I got along so well, because we were both up in Alaska. He was doing the Alaskan fishing stuff in the Bering Sea. And I just thought that was so freaking cool.
Yes.
So yeah, I have always been looking for a way to travel the world, experience the world, but also to create pretty predictable revenue streams. And I did a whole bunch of research. I talked to a lot of people. I landed on SaaS as something that I not only had the capabilities of creating at the time, like I knew nothing about it, so I had to learn all of that stuff. Um, but then the revenue, like the potential revenue that you can get and the ROI from it. So yeah, man, that it just was like the natural progression from working hard physically on these ships and then going into an engineering situation where I'm like using my mind the whole time. Honestly, it was like taking the math SATs every day kind of thing. And then finding a balance between creativity and logic and baking it into these SaaS products. And that's where I am now.
Now, speaking of SaaS products, right? I mean, you've built this platform, Firebuilders, right? It helps people create better retention, better accountability, more engagement, right? Specifically for coaches, but the principles of what you share, are relevant to any business, right? Any business owner, any founder who's building products, services, recurring revenue, SaaS products, and more.
Yeah.
I'm curious, like as you watch and you observe, a lot of people work in their business, around accountability, around retention, and around engagement. What are some of the common mistakes that you see? I don't know if you've got any stories you could share, but a story maybe of even your own journey of maybe some of the big mistakes that you made and what you've learned from it, and also what our viewers and listeners can learn from it too.
So many. I've had a ton of mistakes. I'm a guy that like the work teaches you the work. That's my life motto. So if I don't know how to do something, I cut myself a little bit of slack and I say, well, Josh, like just do it and you'll figure it out along the way. And that's kind of how I've been able to reinvent myself, for lack of a better term, all of these new things. And I would say, as far as the Firebuilders idea and some of the big lessons and mistakes that I've gone through, one of them is spending all of this time creating something that you never tested, like that you never planned, that you never tested, that you never got feedback on. For the like, for instance, like the engineering, we would create these incredible bleeding edge technologies things for like Cirque du Soleil, and I did a lot of stuff over in Macau, which, if you don't know what Macau is, it's a little country, used to be pretty much controlled by Portugal. It's like the gambling mecca of the world. It's like 10 times bigger than Vegas. And so we would take these really crazy nebulous ideas. Beyonce and her production team would come to us and say, well, we want to swing her down from the rafters, and then she lands in a dragon's mouth and then slides down this slide over the audience, and then this like crazy bridge lifts up and drives her to the B stage. Like they would have all of these insane ideas artistically. And that there's a lot of parallels between those ideas and what people approach business with. They have all of these crazy ideas, but they're not exactly sure how to make them happen. And our job essentially was to say, all right, slow down. Let's back up. We'll take your ideas, we'll distill them down into, in physics, it's called first principles, and we'll build from there. And those types of approaches to a problem, I very rarely see people do. And that was what led me to create Firebuilders, because the nebula of people's ideas was so paralyzing that they never took any action, they never got any feedback, and they spent a whole bunch of time and money and they wasted it, and they just moved on to the next thing. I wanted to take a crack at it and see if I could come up with a better solution for it, and I think that I've done it.
Now let's go to the physics. You brought up first principles. So tell our viewers, our listeners, like what's the definition of first principles for the layman?
Yeah, first principles basically means the underlying concepts in physics, like Newton's laws of motion, essentially, first principles. An object that is in motion stays in motion, right? Those kinds of things. We would take these really big ideas and we would draw what's called a free body diagram. And you would say, all right, like let's take the Beyonce example, right? She's going to move from this point to this point, right? We represent her as a single point, and then we draw out all of the energy and the forces that are acting on her at a particular moment in time, right? And those forces have both a direction and like a magnitude, like how large the force is. And a lot of those forces balance themselves out. So you have to understand that. And it's very much the same like in business. You have priorities. You have a whole lot of things that are acting on you when you create anything that hasn't ever been created before. And you have to understand what those forces are, because some of them are balancing themselves out and they don't really matter in the grand scheme of things.
Right.
And it helps you prioritize what does matter so that you can then kind of build around it.
And speaking of build around it, right? Our promise, Firebuilders, accountability, retention, and engagement. Like what are, as you've worked with so many, hundreds, thousands, tens of thousands, potentially, of clients, and watched how their business gets changed when they improve retention, accountability, right, and engagement. Like what are a handful of strategies, like 1 to 3 strategies, Josh, that you see that are working right now to move the dial, that are needle movers to help, with those things?
Yep. Definitely the engagement portion, right? And I have to say, Dan, like, I know, it's tough. It is tough to, if you have, say, I mean, honestly, like if you have 500 people, but let's just say you have 20 people, like 20 coaching clients, and you want to know how and what they are doing throughout the week. Like, let's say you have a Zoom call every week with them and they show up with the Zoom call, and you say, hey, buddy, what'd you do this week? And they're like, well, I did this and I didn't get this far and whatever. I mean, it's very hit or miss. And I worked with a lot of people on the back end of their programs, and I saw this exact thing. This is what happens on Zoom, right? Who's got something to share, right? No one raises their hand. All right, I'm gonna have to pick somebody. How about you, Rebecca? Like, what'd you do this week, right? And it's very, for the coach, it's frustrating because you're like, dude, I laid everything out for you. I gave you the roadmap and you just didn't implement, and now we don't have results, right? But it's also really tough for the participant because at the end of the day, all they wanted the result, but they also wanted it from you, the coach. And you kind of, just one Zoom call a week just doesn't really do it. So what I found is that a tactic that really helps is constant like communication throughout the week, even if it's small little chunks, right? Tiny text message here, a short email there, something like that, to stay top of mind and to help people keep their goals top of mind. I was just doing the numbers actually on a client, and we looked at, she has a membership site, and we looked at her retention month over month, and the people that did not use, she uses Firebuilders, this accountability tool, but the people that she participated with Firebuilders and held accountable on a regular basis, it improved retention by 34%, right? And simply, and it was just small little things throughout the week. Like, there was no change in the content, like nothing. It was just helping people achieve their goals a little bit more often throughout the week. And that's, so any way that you can do that. I know people that do it via Voxer. If you've ever used Voxer, right? They do that with their folks, or text messaging, or whatever it is. But those little engagements really, really help with the retention part.
And let's go to define, engagement, right? Because I want to speak to the elephant in the room for a second, right? Because there's been a lot of, business owners, founders, CEOs, coaches, consultants, Josh, as they've been, led down, this idea of busyness instead of actually business, right? And, mostly through social media, right? And social media has a place. However, I found that most people using social media, it's misplaced versus the right place, right? And some good examples if you want to get a temperature of this. And maybe if you're someone who's, following some experts who teach, go out there and post 50 to 60 times a day. If you're not doing that, you're not even in the game. And then you go do all your posts and you wonder why you've got, 3 likes and you've got 2 comments, and you're there and you're like evaluating your whole existence, your whole life, your whole business, and all based on, something we refer to as false intimacy. Right. There's a great movie or a documentary about this, and I forget which, channel it's on, but it's called Fake Famous. Check it out. And we'll post a link down in the show notes here for you to refer to check out Fake Famous and the idea of this, series of case studies that they ran on this. So talk about engagement in an authentic way, not like false intimacy, right? Or fake famous strategies, but legitimate, true engagement. What is it? What does it mean for somebody when they get it right?
Yes. Okay. I'm so glad that you said this, right? First of all, I've never even heard about Fake Famous, but I will watch that. That's
Check
really
it out. It is fascinating.
So you think to yourself, okay, if I said, Dan, you should post 50 to 60 times a day, right? Which is just crazy anyway. But part of the reason I think that people say that is because the reach of that post is very limited. So like the chances that somebody at least sees one of those, like these guys, these gurus that promote that, they have to try and play the numbers just like everything. The more posts that you do, the more chances that maybe somebody will see one, right? That is true. But at the same time, just like you said, it's shallow. It's very shallow. There's no intimacy there whatsoever. For me, engagement means I'm not reaching out simply to send you another inspirational quote, right? I am reaching out to you because you have identified, you have said that this is something that I want to do. This is a goal. I've put it into words. I've written it down. This is what I'm doing. This is the very next thing, the one thing, the one like next step, so to speak, that I can do to get there, right? And let's just say that we were working together and you identified that. If I reached out to you in the morning, sent you an email and was like, all right, Dan, well, you said that you were going to do this. This was your big goal, right? Here's the thing that you're going to do today to get there, right? I think that you should do it. And when you do, I want to hear about it because I'll follow up with you. That's the kind of engagement that gets people going, right? Because it's more about them. It's less about me being like, hey, it's Josh and I'm like from Key West and I got these roosters. It's like it's fine for the very beginning, but it's not a long-standing relationship at all. It's to me, engagement means whatever we end up talking about, however we interact, it is more about you than it is about me. And I think that if more people did that and took that approach, man, the world would be a better place. Like you wouldn't be so much churn. People will actually get results. It's just, but it's harder and it's more time consuming to do that. So people don't.
Unless you have a tool or a series of tools to help you be able to do that. And by the way, that's an ultimate setup. And we'll get more into, Josh and his program and software and what he offers to help simplify a lot of this. So you don't have to feel like you have to do 50, 60 fake posts a day to try to attract micro fragments of micro percentages of people and wear yourself ragged and then still be evaluating your existence because such and such expert claims it's the way they built their success. And if you go watch Fake Famous, you just might find out how many of the people you've been led to believe and maybe you feel are the greatest leaders in the world have built some of their famous. Don't be shocked if that approach is what they've used and you just didn't know and go truly behind the curtain. And what if there was a better way that actually smaller numbers and higher quality could set you free to give you the business you really want, to give you the freedom you want, where you didn't have to post 60 plus post every single day or multiple days a week, but instead you could post, create one message. It could go to several people at once, and you could have the ultimate accountability, the ultimate engagement, and have the ultimate ability to build into retention. What would that be worth to you, right? Like, what would the value be to your business right now if you increased your retention or accountability just 10%?
You
Right?
want to hear something cool? So
Yes.
I did the math on this real early on, because I was curious. Everybody knows about the Pareto principle, right? 20% of the people account for 80% of your profit. So if you were to back out the numbers, right, and you say, all right, I've got two groups of people, Group A and Group B. Group A is my 20% that's really crushing it, right? They're the action takers and stuff. And then Group B is the other 80% that aren't doing anything. If I were to say, right, what these people are worth, once I shift from one group to another, how much more valuable they are, the math based on the Pareto principle is that you move somebody into that action taker group, they're 16 times more valuable, right? Simply by helping them forward, right? Instead of just kind of like providing their course and being like, all right, set sail, buddy. See you later. I'll see you on my my monthly Zoom call if you show up. It's like, so anyway, yeah, there you go. Each person 16 times. So whatever their average customer value is, multiply it by 16. There you go. It's cool.
Yeah. And and especially, a great principle, a great check-in as you're watching or listening right now for your business is like, what if you were only paid based on creating or adding value that your client said, yes, you created value in my life, right? Now, the world of business doesn't operate truly in a true A-B opportunity like that. But what if your business was really predicated on you creating results for your clients, right? Like our top paying client, we've helped them grow by well over $10 million, and they've, paid our company, well over 7 figures as a result of our helping them. And we're free to them, right? Which done right in a business model like ours, we should be free, right? If you're a coach, if you're a consultant, if you're an advisor or some hybrid of that, a service business or whatever, what would it be worth if you could actually be free and you could charge higher prices as a result because of the accountability, because of the retention, because of the ability to engage with them and hold them to a higher standard and help them remove the obstacles, help them remove the blocks that are getting in the way of them being able to get the results, right? That's what we're talking. It's a different mindset. And I believe businesses that truly focus and tune in on this over the next decade are going to be the ones that thrive, right? It's creating that value exchange. It's creating that experience, right? It's creating a buyer's culture, not a seller's culture, right? A seller's culture is very transactional, right? And if they buy it, they buy it. If they don't, they don't. A buyer's culture is one where they buy into it and engage. Think of Starbucks, right? They've got high engagement, high interaction. They've got high retention. They've got, there's not accountability because it's simply, but they create gaming to create accountability to get you and I to go back for more and more and more and more.
Yep. I've got it. I've got it on my app, like on my phone. I've got the Starbucks app with the rewards and everything.
Exactly. They're training us engagement, accountability, retention. What if you could take principles from billion dollar, multi-billion dollar companies like a Starbucks? How about an Apple company, right? Another, probably the number one company at the time of this session, the number one valued company in the world, right? Engagement, retention, and a level of accountability that they've built into this to get people to buy into it and stand in line and wait days to be able to get the newest, latest, greatest product, service, etc. What would that do for your business? Think about that. Now, Josh, you've shared some fascinating things here right now around the concepts. Like if someone wants to go deeper with you, if they want Firebuilders, the platform that you've set up can help them increase retention, increase accountability, increase engagement. How can they connect with you? Where can they go to learn more? Where would you want to direct them?
Yeah. Well, thanks, Dan. So firebuilders.io, that's the software that I'm kind of talking about. That's the software that I created that kind of really does automate a lot of this. It takes a lot of the kind of backbreaking legwork that's up front, creating something that just takes it all away. And you can have, I mean, you can have an accountability program up and running in days and be starting to get feedback. And that's also like one of the things I'll just throw in, because we didn't really chat about it that much, but the feedback that you get back by doing this on a constant basis and asking people how they're doing, it's like it blows surveys out of the water, man. And what's so cool about it is that not only are those people taking action and they're worth more to you, but anything else that you were thinking of providing, like a future product or service, it is now informed by what people are doing on a daily basis, what they're saying they want, what's stopping them. It's cool, man. It's like marketing gold. I know you've written a lot of copy, and it's like it's like having a playbook like just given to you. You're just like, hey, here are all the answers. This is what people want in this exact target market. Like, now you just got to provide it to them and it'll make you money. So anyway, yeah, firebuilders.io, they can check it out.
Yeah. And if you're looking for a way to have user generated feedback to help you be able to simplify your buyer system, to get more clients, to be able to create more retention, to create more engagement, to create more accountability, then go to firebuilders.io and check out what Josh has got. Firebuilders.io. The links are in the notes. Make sure to head over there right now. Now, by the way, Josh, I can't help. I mean, you're an engineer, for crying out loud, and a SaaS owner, right? You know, you're probably fascinated by technology as well, and look for ways to simplify your world, from tools to resources to other types of things that you use. What are some of your favorite tools that you use, first with business and then also personal? Like, what are some of your favorite tools that you use to just get more out of time and energy and simplifying things?
Yeah. Well, one in particular that I use is called Bonjoro. Um, so if people, yeah, I did this when I did my first SaaS product. Every single person that signed up, I sent them a personalized video message thanking them and saying, hey, it's Josh. I created the software. If you got any questions, just email me directly. Be happy to answer them and really appreciate it. Have a great day, Dan. Done. Right. I used Bonjoro to do that. And I can tell you that that made a huge difference in like starting off the relationship on the right foot, especially with software, right? Because you just think of software as just this faceless machine that you're interacting with, but no, there's a real person behind it. And so I used Bonjoro to do that. I A shameless self plug. I also have an app called Funnel Mappy, and that's just at funnelmappy.com. And that is the tool that I created out of my own need. It's like Google Drive for funnels. It helped me kind of pull all of the strategic details of building these experiences into one place. And that was really actually very important for remote teams, people that are, very dispersed, and one person's focusing on the copy and then others on the graphics, and everything's got to work together. And so I created Funnel Mappy to have a visual representation of those journeys. So business-wise, those two have been a huge help. Personally, I have to say I've started using the email client Superhuman, and it has really like sped up all of my email correspondence. I really like it, and it's like all you can pretty much do. You have to learn a couple of keystrokes and stuff, but you can just manage it all really quickly from the keyboard. Respond, done. They just made the interface like really, really user friendly, and I dig it, man. I really do.
That's amazing. So, by the way, go check out funnelmappy.com. That's Funnel Mappy. Again, all the links will be in the notes. Bonjoro, Superhuman for your email client, simplifying email, and more. Now, Josh, we've spent, I don't know, 30 minutes or so together so far. What's something I should have asked you that I didn't get a chance to ask you yet?
Let's see. Something that you should have asked me. Well, I have to say, the I would say, what's the hardest part of creating anything that hasn't been created before? I think that's a really good question, and people should really know what it takes, because just like you said, there's a lot of folks out there toting, like downplaying how much work it actually is to create something that has a very high standard of care.
Yes.
It's really easy to create something that sucks. like, but of course you don't want to do that. None of your listeners want to do that. And so to really, really spend some time understanding what it takes to create something that works. And for me, it has always been interfacing and communicating with people, even with the engineering. You know, the best engineers out there, they're not the ones that can do calculus in their heads the fastest. They're the ones that are the best communicators, that are taking ideas and explaining them to other people that aren't engineers. And so if you can master that, then you are starting on the right foot, creating something that'll actually work in real life. So yeah, that's what I would say.
That's awesome. Now, I can't help but wonder, and I'm taking a flyer on this one, but who has been somebody that's been your favorite mentor, coach, advisor that you can think of or would want to tribute here that you've worked with?
I tell you, the one of the guys that comes to mind, honestly, and he's become a really good friend, I've learned a ton from, Ryan Lee. He's just got it figured out. Like he does it right. He puts his family first. I've learned a lot just by hanging around him, kind of watching what he does. He's very methodical. He's been in the game for a long time. Man, the stuff that he's just got incredible insights. He's really smart. He's just a good guy. And yeah, so I'd like to say thanks to him publicly, because I've emulated his style for a number of years now.
Well, we'll make sure we tag this in the episode and send him a little note as well to share the call out that you just did with and for him. Now, as we wrap this up, Josh, like what are a handful of action steps that you hope our viewers, our listeners take from our time today?
Well, if they're coaching right now and they have a group of some kind, I would say reach out to them individually today and ask them how they're doing, right? Ask them what's up, how they're doing, if they need any help, anything to increase that engagement. Just those little things will make such a huge difference. And if they don't have a coaching program and they're maybe thinking about starting one, then kind of what we were saying before we started, right? Like plan it out, figure out what it is that you're going to do. Just like that Navy, have you ever heard the Navy SEALs, targets, weapons, tactics, right? Those three things in order is how they solve just about every problem, right? Got to identify what the target is, then that dictates what weapons you use, then that dictates the tactics that you use, how you use those weapons, right? Same exact thing with any coaching program, right? Targets, weapons, tactics. Identify what it is that you're trying to do, what you've got means at your disposal. That will dictate how you apply them. I hope they just do that. They're on the right path if they do.
That's amazing. He's Josh Koerpel. I would encourage you, go check out what he's put together at firebuilders.io. That's firebuilders.io. Check out his software, take a tour, use it, test it, apply it. Well, that is if you want to increase retention, accountability, and engagement. If you don't want to do that, well, then, hey, just, have at it. And you can be like most SaaS companies who have an average lifespan value of a 2.2 per month average. But if you want to go beyond that, right, then check out what he's put together at firebuilders.io. Check out Funnel funnelmappy.com. Again, all the links will be here. If you want to come back to this episode, you can go to growthtofreedom.com/316. That's growthtofreedom.com/316. If you never want to miss an episode, go to growthtofreedom.com, or on your favorite tunes, your favorite, Stitcher, for Android, for Google, wherever you go to growthtofreedom.com/subscribe. That's growthtofreedom.com/subscribe. By the way, do you know of an entrepreneur or a founder or a CEO or a coach or a consultant struggling to get new clients? Well, guess what? If you know that they'd like to be able to grow with less stress, then share this episode with somebody you care about too. It's real easy. Just go to growthtofreedom.com. Josh, it's been awesome to have you, my brother. It's great to catch up with you. I look forward to us helping each other even more.
Dan, you are the man. This was so good. Thank you for letting me hang with you for a little bit. Dude, you're a pro at this. It's awesome watching you work.
Well, thank you. And I encourage you, as you're watching or listening, again, go to firebuilders.io, funnelmappy.com as well. And I encourage you, take action with what Josh has just shared with you. Targets, right? What are your targets? What are the weapons, the tools of choice that you have today? You might have to get more tomorrow. You might want more stuff, but what do you have at your fingertip? What are the acres of diamonds that you've got right now to start where you stand, right? And beyond that, then what are the tactics? What are the action steps to put in place? I mean, that's a wealth of wisdom right there. The Navy SEAL approach, the Firebuilders.io Navy SEAL approach to actually getting more done, creating accountability, creating retention, creating engagement, and a whole lot more. Seize the day. Take action. Apply what Josh has shared with you. Again, go to firebuilders.io, funnelmappy.com. We'll see you. Seize the day. Make it a great week. We'll see you next time on growthtofreedom.com. Thanks for listening to this episode of growthtofreedom.com. Are you struggling to get a steady flow of new clients every day? Or maybe hit a plateau or hit a wall in growing your business? Well, let's help you solve this problem today. Let's review your business and have a conversation. You can do that for free today at breakthroughstrategycall.com. That's breakthroughstrategycall.com. In addition, if you're looking for a simple way to implement some of what we've been talking about in today's episode, then I want to encourage you to get our free small business toolkit. You can get that at activate.breakthrough3x.com. That's activate.breakthrough3x.com. If you'd like access to the special resources and all the show notes for this special episode, make sure to visit growth.